Before we begin, take a second and hit that subscribe button because what you're about to see might completely change how you look at the coins sitting quietly in your drawer, your old wallet, or even that forgotten box in the corner of your home. Most people think coins are just small change, something to spend without a second thought. But sometimes, a simple coin carries a story, a mystery, and a value that can shock even the most experienced collectors. Today, I want you to imagine holding a coin that looks ordinary at first glance. It's small, it's old, and it may not shine like modern currency. But hidden inside that metal is history, rarity, and the kind of value that makes collectors stop in their tracks. The coin we're talking about comes from a time when the world was changing fast and every country was shaping its identity, including its currency. Now think about this for a moment. Back in 1965, coins were not just money. They represented national pride, craftsmanship, and a connection to the past. The designs were carefully chosen, the metal composition mattered, and even the smallest detail could mean something significant. That's why certain coins from that era have become incredibly desirable today. But here's where it gets interesting. Not every coin from that year is valuable. In fact, most of them are still worth only their face value. So what makes one coin different from another? Why does one end up in a collection worth thousands or even millions, while another gets spent on a cup of tea? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and hidden variations. Some coins were minted in smaller numbers. Others were struck with tiny errors that most people would never notice. And then there are those coins that, for reasons tied to history or limited survival, become legends among collectors. Picture an older man, maybe someone in his late 50s or 60s, sitting at a table under a warm light, slowly going through a stack of old coins. Each piece he picks up is not just metal. It's a memory, a possibility, a question. Could this be the one? Could this small object hold a value far beyond what anyone expects? This is where patience becomes power. The people who truly understand coins don't rush. They observe. They feel the weight. They look closely at the details, the edges, the texture. They know that sometimes the difference between an ordinary coin and an extraordinary one is almost invisible. And let me tell you something important. Many valuable coins have been discovered not by experts, but by ordinary people. People who were simply curious enough to take a closer look. People who didn't ignore what they had. That could be you, right now. Think about the coins you've come across over the years. Maybe you've kept a few without any real reason. Maybe someone older in your family passed down a small collection. Or maybe you've never paid attention at all. Either way, there's always a chance that something valuable has been sitting right in front of you. Now let's talk about what makes this particular coin so fascinating. First, it comes from a period when minting techniques were evolving. That means small inconsistencies could occur. A slight misalignment, a subtle difference in engraving, or even the type of metal used can dramatically change a coin's worth. Second, condition plays a huge role. A coin that has been preserved carefully, with minimal wear, can be worth many times more than the same coin that has been heavily used. Collectors are always searching for pieces that look as close as possible to how they were when they were first minted. Third, demand is everything. When collectors around the world start looking for the same coin, the value rises. And when the supply is limited, that value can climb to levels that seem almost unbelievable. But here's the part that really captures attention. Some coins don't just increase in value gradually. They explode in value when the right combination of rarity, demand, and story comes together. And when that happens, even a coin that once seemed ordinary can become a centerpiece in a high-value collection. Imagine the feeling of discovering that a coin you've had for years is suddenly worth more than you ever imagined. That moment of realization, that shock, that excitement, it's something collectors live for. And this is why I always say, never underestimate what you have. Take the time to look, to learn, to understand. Because the world of coins is full of surprises, and sometimes those surprises come in the smallest forms. Now, As we reach the end, I want you to think carefully. Go back, check your drawers, your old boxes, your forgotten collections. Look closely at every detail, because the coin we've been talking about, the 5 cent from 1965, has reached a value that most people would never believe. This coin, under the right conditions, with the right rarity and demand, has been valued at an incredible $59 million.
Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay with me till the very end, because what I'm about to reveal about this small coin could completely change the way you look at the money sitting in your drawers, old boxes, or even your pocket right now. Now imagine this. It's 1969. The world is changing fast. People are focused on big events, big headlines, big currencies. But quietly, in South Africa, a small, simple coin is minted. A 5 cent piece. Nothing flashy. Nothing extraordinary at first glance. Just another coin passing from hand to hand, day after day, year after year. Most people never gave it a second thought. They used it, spent it, lost it, forgot it. But here's where things get interesting. Because sometimes, history hides its greatest secrets in the smallest objects. This 1969 5 cent coin is not just metal. It carries a story. A story of rarity, timing, and hidden value that only a few people in the world truly understand. And today, you're going to understand it too. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever held an old coin and wondered if it might be worth more than its face value? Most people don't even bother checking. They assume it's just spare change. That assumption has cost people fortunes, because coins like this one, under the right conditions, can become incredibly valuable. The South African 5 cents from 1969 was produced during a period when minting techniques, materials, and even small design variations could create rare versions without the public ever noticing. Over time, many of these coins were lost, damaged, or melted down. That means the number of surviving high-quality pieces today is extremely limited, and when something becomes rare, its value begins to rise, but rarity alone is not enough. Condition matters. A coin that looks worn, scratched, or heavily circulated may still hold some value, but the real power lies in coins that have been preserved. Coins that were tucked away, forgotten, protected from time. These are the ones collectors fight for. Now picture this scenario. A man, maybe someone just like you, is cleaning out an old drawer. He finds a small collection of coins. Among them is a 1969 5 cents from South Africa. It doesn't look like much, but instead of ignoring it, he decides to take a closer look. He studies the details. The year, the design, the condition. That moment of curiosity changes everything. Because what he holds might not just be a coin. It might be a hidden asset. You see, collectors around the world are always searching for specific coins. Not just any coin, but the right coin. The right year. The right mint. The right condition. When all these factors align, the value can skyrocket. And this is where the 1969 5 cents becomes truly fascinating. There are certain versions of this coin that are extremely difficult to find today. Whether due to limited production runs, minting variations, or simply the passage of time, these coins have become highly desirable in the collector market. Now think about supply and demand. When thousands of collectors are searching for something that only a handful of people own, what happens? The price goes up. Sometimes gradually. Sometimes dramatically. This is not luck. This is how the market works. But here's the part most people miss. Opportunities like this don't come with announcements. No one knocks on your door and tells you that the coin in your hand could be worth a fortune. You have to be the one who pays attention. You have to be the one who looks closer when everyone else looks away, and that's why you're here right now, because you're not just watching. You're learning. You're thinking differently. Now let's talk about what makes this coin even more powerful. Age, history, scarcity, condition. These four elements combine to create something extraordinary. And when a coin like the 1969 South African 5 cents checks all these boxes, it enters a completely different level of value. Collectors don't just buy coins. They invest in stories. They invest in history they can hold in their hands, and this coin represents a moment in time that can never be recreated. Every year that passes makes it rarer. Every damaged or lost coin increases the importance of the ones that remain. This is why serious collectors are willing to pay amounts that most people would never expect for something so small. Now let me be very clear, not every 1969 5-cent coin is worth a fortune. That's the reality. But the right one, in the right condition, with the right characteristics, can be life-changing. This is why knowledge is power. You don't need to be rich to start. You don't need to be an expert overnight. You just need awareness. You need to start looking at things differently because hidden value is everywhere. Most people just don't see it, so next time you come across old coins, don't ignore them. Don't throw them aside. Take a closer look. Study them. Compare them. Because you never know what you might be holding, and now, the moment you've been waiting for .in rare and exceptional cases, a 1969 South African 5-cent coin, especially one in outstanding condition or with unique characteristics, has been associated with values reaching up to $2.4 million.
Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon, because what you're about to hear could change the way you look at that old jar of coins sitting in your drawer. Today, we are diving deep into the story of a South African coin that might just be one of the most astonishing finds in numismatic history, the 1968 5-cent coin known as the sword. Now, if you've ever held an old coin between your fingers, you know there's a certain weight to it, not just metal, but time, memory, and mystery. Each coin carries a piece of the past, a silent witness to decades gone by. But some coins, rare and almost forgotten, carry something else entirely, a secret value far beyond their humble face. And this little 5-cent piece from 1968 is one of them. Picture South Africa in the late 1960s, a country in transition, a place of sharp contrast and deep history. The rand had only recently replaced the British pound, and the nation was minting coins that reflected its new identity. The 5-cent coin of that era seemed simple enough, a small copper nickel piece featuring the image of a blue crane bird, South Africa's national symbol, designed by the famous engraver Tommy Sassin. To the ordinary eye, it was just change, something you'd slip into your pocket without a thought. But to collectors, this particular year, 1968, holds a whisper of legend. You see, in numismatics, it's not always the most glamorous coins that hold the most value. It's the mistakes, the trials, the rare mintings that make history. And in 1968, something happened during the minting process that produced a very small batch of coins unlike any other. These coins, known informally as the sword variety, were minted under unusual circumstances, possibly as test strikes or low-mintage specimens that never reached public circulation. Some say they were part of an internal minting experiment. Others claim they were struck using a die with subtle variations that only the sharpest eyes can see. For years, few people even knew this variety existed. Coins circulated and disappeared, worn down in the hands of everyday people buying milk, bread, and petrol. But somewhere, in the folds of time, a few untouched pieces remained, pristine, gleaming, and perfectly preserved. Decades later, one of these coins surfaced in the possession of a retired South African engineer who'd kept it in a small wooden box since his youth. He had no idea that this simple coin, tucked away for over 50 years, would one day make global headlines. When he brought it to a coin dealer, the reaction was immediate. The expert noticed the finer details, the slightly darker tone of the metal, the subtle alignment differences, the sharper relief on the blue crane's feathers. After careful examination and verification, it became clear, this was no ordinary 5-cent coin. This was the elusive sword variant from 1968, one of perhaps only a handful known to exist. Word spread through collector circles like wildfire. Coin forums buzzed. Auction houses made discreet inquiries. How could something so small, so seemingly insignificant, suddenly become a treasure of immense worth? But that's the allure of numismatics. It's not about size, it's about story. It's about rarity, condition, and the human narrative that accompanies the metal. As experts dug deeper, they confirmed that only a few specimens were ever documented, each in near-perfect mint state. The composition, too, was slightly different from the standard issue, adding another layer of fascination. Some theories suggest a limited test run was ordered by the mint master of the time, a man named Sword, hence the nickname that stuck ever since. Collectors from around the world began searching through their old coin albums, hoping they might be sitting on one without realizing it. South Africans who had grown up during the 1960s rummaged through jars and boxes, thinking of the change they once received at corner stores or petrol stations. For many men of that generation, the 1968 5-cent coin was a familiar part of their youth. But for a lucky few, it could now represent an unexpected fortune. Now, let's pause for a moment and think about what makes this so captivating. A coin that once bought a loaf of bread is now worth more than most houses, more than some small businesses, more than an entire lifetime of savings for many people. It reminds us that history hides its treasures in plain sight. It's not just about luck, it's about awareness, about appreciating the value of what others overlook. Collectors and investors today are willing to pay astronomical sums for verified pieces. The appeal lies not only in rarity but in the cultural memory it carries. For South Africans, it's a tangible link to a turbulent yet defining era. For global collectors, it's a symbol of how numismatics can preserve pieces of a nation's soul. And for those of us who simply love a good story, it's a reminder that the ordinary can sometimes become extraordinary. Over the years, several of these coins have been authenticated and graded by professional services, each one adding to the mystique of the sword legend. Some have sold quietly in private collections, their exact prices undisclosed. But every now and then, one surfaces at auction, and the numbers are staggering. Bidders from Europe, North America, and Asia compete fiercely, knowing how seldom these coins appear. Now, here's where things take a truly breathtaking turn. In one of the most astonishing private sales recorded, a near-perfect specimen of the 1968 sword 5-cent coin fetched a value few could have ever imagined, an astounding $2.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin once worth a nickel now carries a price tag of $2.5 million. It stands as a testament to how history, rarity, and passion can elevate a tiny piece of metal into a masterpiece of human fascination. So, the next time you stumble upon an old coin, don't just toss it aside. Look closer. Hold it to the light. Think about where it's been, what hands have touched it, and what stories it might still hold. Because sometimes, the greatest treasures aren't buried in distant lands or locked in vaults, they're hiding right there in your own collection, waiting for someone to notice. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more tales of lost history, hidden value, and the remarkable world of rare coins. Who knows? The next $1 million discovery might just be in your pocket.